It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's Wednesday sponsor is Ultimate College Football Head Coach. It's a brand new mobile game that's completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. Begin your coaching legacy today. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, something that we had talked about in Sunday's postgame and then a couple times this week as well is how does NC State football still garner their confidence moving forward after getting demolished by Tennessee? It's very easy to take a loss like that, and if you let it, it can derail your entire season. I have a clip here from Noah Rogers during his media availability during this week, and he kind of talked about what kind of leader Grayson McCall is and what they are taking from his leadership to instill confidence moving forward. Here we go.
The guys are really, standing behind Grayson, even though I know he struggled on Saturday. What does it say about him that the team has so much confidence?
To see him come in the next morning with a smile on his face and being able to wanting to get better, stay in late nights. I mean, that's what you want to see in the guy that's not going to quit. I believe in him and everybody else does. And, he's one of our greatest leaders on this team. And as long as he's keep bringing in good energy to our team, everything's going to be all right, because at the end of the day, we play for each other. So we got his back.
It's part of that also that I think we saw that with Peyton Wilson last year. When you're 23, 24 years old, you're a man.
Yeah.
It's not getting an 18 or 19-year-old trying to lead kids. Do you see that when some of the older guys on the team speak up? It's just they have that life experience.
With that, the older guys on our team, they kind of preach to us, a grown a man. So, out here, we not here to be little boys. We want to be grown men out here. And, as long as you preaching that in our ears every day, you realize that you're the guy who has to be in a position to lead quicker than you think. So,
All right. So you heard from Noah Rogers there what kind of leader McCall is. The very next day, after a 51-10 loss, he enters the Murphy Center with a smile on his face. You got to have that type of bounce back, not just in your quarterback, but that type of attitude bleeds out into your whole team. And then my favorite part of this clip is he mentions the influence that we heard from Brennan Armstrong last year being a grown A man. Needs to go ahead and bleed through the entire team. We hate that we had to get humbled on a national stage to already have these types of conversations, but that's the kind of mindset they have to take moving forward if they're going to keep up that confidence.
I'm going to say something that may upset some folks. With what I have been seeing, I don't give a damn about the empty platitudes or what people are talking about. We came into this season talking about being different. How different is it to get dominated on the national stage by a really good team? You come into this season talking about, hey, the feeling in the air is different. Everything is different. Hey, I'm not going to say I'm upset at what Noah Rogers said. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say, hey, I want Grayson McCall to become this new guy that's pissed all the time because be who you are. Don't try to press and become somebody new. Be who you are, sure. I don't care about any more words or platitudes. I care about how this team shows up on Saturday, and the Saturday after that, and the Saturday after that, and the Saturday after, because the importance to me, the onus to me at this point in time needs to be the attitude is there. Everybody believes, everybody's behind you, all that good stuff. Great. What do we need to clean up fundamentally? What do we need to clean up technically? What do we need to clean up in terms of our pre-snap, post-snap reads? What do we need to clean up in terms of our tackling? What do we need to clean up? I get it. The whole grown-ass man thing, I get it, right? you know, a grown-ass man, it's different than being a boy. Nobody really cares how you feel. Nobody really cares, good day, bad day, whatever. You got to keep pushing short. I don't care about the platitudes because we're beyond the point of platitudes. In year 2, 3, 4, you're at the point of platitude. You're at the point of like, oh, we're getting it. Everybody's saying the same thing. Forget everybody but us. We're all rowing the boat in the same direction. All that good stuff. Great. Year 12, that platitude needs to become an attitude that comes out on the field. The words need to become how you impose yourself on your opponents. I am sorry. I'm not going to lower my standards or be happy with less than I came into this season expecting, because even after how just god awful we looked against Tennessee, I'm not going to lower that to, well, you know, we're just not there. We're just not in that ballpark. We're just not in that ball game. I don't give a damn. Figure out a way to get there. Figure out a way. You got a long way to go in a short time to get there. But if you want to be different, then damn it, be different. So, you know, that's, again, not mad at Noah Rodgers. I hope this team does keep their confidence. I hope this team does get back up off the mat. Like you said in the intro, not about how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving. Don't let this 1 turn into 2, turn into 3. Be grown-ass men and go out and do what you need to do against Louisiana Tech.
Something Noah went on to talk more about in that clip is knowing what this team is capable of and also understanding that all of their goals are still ahead of them if they choose to play up to that level, because they're all there. We talked about that earlier this week. I wholeheartedly agree. We need less talk and more talking with the pads. We need to see this on the field. Having the attitude in the locker room, that's great. You got to start there before you get out on the field, but then it needs to be reflected when you put that ball down on Saturday. Louisiana Tech, we'll talk more about them on Thursday's episode, not a very good football team. And we said that kind of haphazardly coming into the Western game, that NC State should dominate, you know, get your starters out early, focus on reps, you get your second and third teamers in there, should be a great win. Didn't happen. You got embarrassed. You go into week 2, you get fully embarrassed by an SEC team on a national stage. Now week 3, it's the literal definition of a get-right game. We need to see that this team is capable of everything they talked about in the offseason, that this team is capable of bouncing back and inspiring confidence in themselves to then have to go play Clemson the week following. You got to show a lot of improvement in a very short amount of time. There's tons of things that this team needs to be improving upon, and that is a little staggering based on how this team was being discussed in the offseason. So sure, yes, the attitude is great. The willingness to bounce back is great. We have to see that bounce back on the field. We have to feel that electricity from the players on the field on Saturday. So I do appreciate the confidence and talking about Grayson McCall's leadership. That's all great. We need to see that reflected on the field on Saturday. Coming up next, we're going to flip over and talk about what the coaches have to say. Robert and I spent a couple minutes with the media as well. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Locked on Wolfpack fans, I got to take a moment to give you a heads up about a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you actually imagine being the head coach of the NC State Wolfpack? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you are in control of every crucial detail in your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? Ultimate College Football Head Coach is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline, so you can play on the go as you want, whenever you want to. Of course, we have a special offer for Locked on Wolfpack listeners. Using the promo code LOCKEDONCFB in all caps inside the game store, you get a free boost to start your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk, as it will get your team off and running. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com, or you can look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. Second sponsor of the day is Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever before. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Toggling the all-in pricing feature on the Gametime app will show your total upfront, so you receive zero surprises at checkout. You get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. And again, using Gametime picks, the curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know. It's Gametime. Middle portion of our Wednesday show. Now, I think we should take some time with offensive coordinator Robert Anae. This actually fits perfectly into what we were talking about on Tuesday's episode, the run blocking. It's been an issue. The run game has been nowhere near as established as we need it to be, and it's holding back our offense in a major way. Let's take a quick listen to some of the words that Robert Anae had on it.
What needs to happen in order to get the run game more on track?
Oh, those 10 guys on the field. Well, now 9 because the quarterback's not involved in that. But now you're talking about a 9-guy event. And no, when the run game is not clicking, we are not connected. So every time that ball's run, there's a 9-guy deal going on. Same thing. Now, I'm not blaming the running back one lick. When that thing's not working, it's those 9 guys up there. That's the effect of it. So when that thing's going great, you're going to see great play from our running backs. So that's our response. 9 guys, run the football. Everybody be on the same page. Assignment, technique, pad level, and how much effort and strain you put in. So that is what's at play.
So some interesting comments from Robert Anae, basically saying, well, without saying, it's up to the other 9 guys on the field. He kind of takes the running back out of the equation. He's talking O-line, he's talking tight end, he's talking wide receivers. There's a feeling that it's all been quite disconnected, and I'd have to agree because we've seen it look very disconnected. It's just not been good enough. Now, I want to also just talk about Jordan Waters to an extent. I don't think Jordan Waters has been quite what we expected him to be in terms of physicality. I think he struggled a little bit with arm tackles and just hasn't quite amounted to the runner that we thought he would be. I do think the majority of that is through the offensive line, but Jordan Waters is much more of a patient runner than, say, a Hollywood Smothers is. And so when the offensive line is struggling that much, that will directly affect how Jordan Waters is successful or not. So reading between the lines here, Jordan Waters will go as the offensive line goes. If one is off, the other is off. That feels like a major, major problem moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we are seeing that our passing game is not in sync enough to count on the short game to be our guiding light. We're seeing that. That's just an objective fact. That isn't me hating Grayson McCall, because here's the thing. One of the things that I considered that it just randomly hit me during the middle of the day while I was at work today. I know that the stick route, we all know how stick works. We've all seen the concept. It's on video games, for Christ's sake. That's how you know that that's a thing that exists in the world. One of the things that hit me is, what if Justin Joly was supposed to keep running on that route to the flat? What if that was the deal there? And then it hit me, maybe, like, yes, the pass against Western, it was just off. But maybe in that moment, it's one of a lack of timing and rhythm. And so that brings me to this. I look at this offense and I say to myself, if you cannot do that thing that requires timing, you need to have your blunt force instrument ready. If you cannot be precise and be a surgeon with it, you need to have something that is overpowering and overwhelming. Now, how that looks, we need to figure it out, right? Because one way of overpowering and overwhelming teams is with a very good run game. Another way is with receivers that can get open deep, but then that requires protection, which I think our offensive line's pass protection, it left something to be desired against Tennessee, as well as Western at times, but we'll see. So I'm kind of left at a space where I'm saying to myself, there has to be an identity established, and they have to lean on that identity, whatever it is. If you're going to do the quick game and Grayson McCall knocks off all the rest and figures out, do that. If you're going to be a team that runs the ball and that 9-man effort goes how it should, do that, lean on that. If you're going to be a team that wants to take shots and wants to take the top off, do that, be that. But right now, it just seems like we're a little bit of a rudderless ship offensively. Because even if you think about the Western game, was there a game plan and identity that you walked away from that knowing our offense has this?
Much of that game, it looked like they were doing essentially the bare minimum because they expected to roll over Western. So there's no real identity created in that game, which leads into further issues against Tennessee.
No identity in game one. Game two, you were so overwhelmed by a superior defensive line. No identity there either. At what point in time do you establish this is who we are? Be it a team that's super physical, run the ball. We're going to, you may win the game, but you're going to walk away bumped up, bruised up. Be it a precise, short passing game. Hey, we're going to nickel and dime you down the field. We're going to death by 1,000 cuts. Be it a team that says, you know what? I think Noah Rodgers can separate from you vertically. Let's go for it. I think you can't keep up with Dakari Collins if we tell him to go run a corner route. I don't think you can stop him. I just have a strange feeling that Kevin Concepcion can get open deep, intermediate, short. I think he can get open anywhere. That's our guy. We're going to lean on him. I don't walk away from it feeling like there's an established offensive identity for any type of hey, this is the cohesion. This is who we are.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned a blunt force object. The last 5 games of 23, it was KC. The first game of 24, it was also KC. The offense had their tires spinning in the mud all night until later in that game, KC just took it over. They fed KC. He took us the rest of the way.
But even beyond KC, at the end of last year, NC State's identity was KC or the blunt force object. Anytime KC wasn't getting the ball, our leading rusher last year was Brennan Armstrong.
Correct.
A lot of those were designed quarterback runs. They're like, hey, our backs are not necessarily being relevant when called. We had our starting running back or one of our starters transfer out in the middle of the season in terms of backs. We got to do what we got to do. We'll figure it out. And that's what they did. You worked with what you had and you created some offensive identity. I can say by the end of the season, NC State wanted to beat you up. At the line of scrimmage last year, by the end of that thing, I want to say, what was the rushing yards per game through the last 5 or 6? What was it, 175 or something like that?
At least. I think we went over 200 twice.
That was a team that wanted to be physical with your behind. That was what that team wanted to do. And so when I turn around and look this year, I don't see that level of physicality, but I don't see a level of precision or a level of quick game or a level of deep balls that says, okay, we get it this way. And I don't see a balance between the two where it's very clear, hey, our offense is designed and predicated on you never know what's coming because anything could work at any moment.
This actually leads us perfectly into our last segment of the day. Might we see a philosophy change in week 3 against Louisiana Tech? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our third sponsor of the day is FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, but that's because it's America's #1 sports book. Right now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time if you choose. And if that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all of this coming Sunday, September 15th. This is used on pregame moneyline bets. The Profit Boost will be live starting this Thursday, September 12th. View your account page now to learn more about how to use this boost. Head on over to FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel. Last couple minutes of our Wednesday show. This is something we kind of poked at earlier in the week, talking about the offensive philosophy and how if it ain't working, perhaps you should look to adjust that moving forward. Something I've seen online and I'm kind of starting to warm up to. I'll get your take on this, Kenton. Perhaps the offense will look to spread out a bit more this weekend against Louisiana Tech. Get your playmakers into space and then rack up the yak, as we kind of saw last year in the way that Robert and I was able to utilize guys like KC. What do you think about spreading the offense out, more of an air raid type offense on Saturday?
Get your best 11 on the field, period. Get your
True.
best 11 players on the field. I don't care how you do it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what the philosophy is. Get your damn best 11 on the field. If the best 11 means that you're going 0 personnel, that means that you have 5 wide receivers on the field, go for it. By the way, when you hear 10 personnel, 11, 12, 21, that's the amount of backs and then tight ends. That's what that means. So if you have to go 12 personnel a lot, do that. I don't care what the personnel grouping is. I don't care how you decide to philosophize it. Get your best players on the field. Get the ball in their hands. And as a general rule, if our offensive line cannot get pushed, get it to them on the perimeter. Instead of having to trust 9 guys to block and do what they need to do, trust 2. Just trust 2 and let them kind of do their thing. So I'm very interested to see whether or not this is a more spread out game against Louisiana Tech, or whether or not we see more of the same hat that we went with against Tennessee.
I think that they should spread it out, honestly. And I think after a rough couple first 2 weeks, when you have relatively younger players looking at Noah Rogers, Wesley Grimes is a junior, I know, but he still feels relatively young in terms of experience. Keenan Jackson's had some snaps. Terrell Anderson's had some snaps. Paylor's made a quick appearance. You still have KC out there running around. I would like to see the skill players be let loose this weekend, because that builds not only confidence for the skill guys, but McCall as well. It takes a little bit of a responsibility off of McCall's plate, kind of what we were talking about in the offseason. We don't need McCall to be Superman. Just distribute the rock and let your skill guys go to work. That type of mindset, I think, can do us a lot of good against a relatively, I'll say, liable team like a Louisiana Tech. Their defense, although they also play a 3-3-5, which I find interesting, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. They're not an NC State brand of 3-3-5. I'll put it to you that way. This is the week to take advantage of a softer defense and build that confidence up for your skill players. You're going to need it. You got Clemson in 2 weeks. You don't want to look ahead, but you also kind of want to look ahead. You have to build that rapport right now, because if you're going into Clemson kind of, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, you're screwed. Don't even show up if that's the case. You have to be coming out of week 3 feeling like you can take on anyone in the country. That's the type of offensive confidence that I want to see this weekend.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the confidence needs to be restored. This needs to be a get-right game, because at the end of the day, I'm not looking ahead at all. I'm not looking ahead to Clemson at all. I'm not sure that this is a game where I'm like, oh, actually, no, let me not say I'm not sure. This is not a game that I look at and say, hey, the young guys need to get reps and all that. Get a win. Just get a win. Do what needs to be done to get a win, because you fought and scrapped and clawed against Western Carolina. You looked like you didn't belong on the same field. You looked like you were playing a different sport at times than Tennessee and Charlotte. Just get a win. I'm not saying a word about Clemson. Get a win.
That'll do it for us here on Wednesday. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments down in the comment box. Mash that subscribe button, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow on Thursday. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.